Okay, Gerhard, I think let's start. I'm going to take a few minutes in any case just to introduce Sava to everyone. So that will give, I'll admit people as they come into the lobby. But ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Sava, once again, just a warm welcome if I haven't welcomed you yet. My name is Monique Holtzhausen. I'm, as I mentioned earlier, I'm from Sava. We've got a couple of our members joining us. And it's a huge privilege for me just to welcome you all to this webinar. And a very warm welcome, of course, to Gerhard Hoffman of Exelliq. It's our first webinar of the year. This year has kicked off in high speed, but we're very excited and fortunate to have our first webinar of the year with Gerhard, who's just going to tell us a little bit more about the benefit of PVC windows, doors, and profiles. If I can just try and get my screen to move, that would be awesome. There we go. I'm going to take literally a few minutes just to give you a brief introduction to Sava for those of you who aren't familiar with us or do not know who and what we are and what our mandate is. But before I do that, just two reminders. Number one, that this whole session will be recorded. We're also going to make it available afterwards on Sava's YouTube channel and on our website. So if you go to savinyls.co.za and you click on our media page, you will see a link there that will take you directly to that. That's the first one. The second one, just a reminder again of the Competitions Act. As always, when we gather together like this and we talk about products and what's happening in the industry, please just be reminded that we are governed by those rules, that we don't talk about anything that's got sensitive information, pricing, or anything like that. And we just ask you to please be mindful of that. Okay, just a quick overview with regards to who and what Sava is. This is what the PVC market currently looks like in South Africa. 46% is still made up of the pipes, which is by and large our largest market segment. And then, as you can see, drilling down or going down there, we've got cables and conduits. Sorry, I'm just adding more people as they come in. But of course, today we are going to focus on profiles, which Gerhard is going to give us a bit more information on, as well as with regards to trends and developments, what's happening overseas, what can we expect in South Africa. So that's just a little bit to whet your appetite and put things into context with regards to where we fit in today's discussion with regards to the rest of the market. Come screen. There we go. All right. Sava was founded in 2011. We're a voluntary industry association, and we represent the entire value chain of the local PVC industry. And our goal is really what we're all doing together with our members is to create a responsible, a dynamic, and a sustainable PVC industry. There's amazing networking. It's really a fantastic association to belong to. There's a lot of information and knowledge that's being shared, best practices. We are all fighting our corner together to protect and to grow the local PVC industry. And we also represent South Africa on the global stage as a member of the Global Vinyl Council, where we are fortunate to work with our colleagues from around the world to find out what's happening in terms of new legislation or new developments, things that might impact and change or have influence on our own industry here. And I think as a direct result of that is where our paths crossed with those of Gerhard and with Exelliq. So there's a lot of benefit to that as well. Just very quickly, what our focus is and our mandate is to grow the PVC market. As I mentioned earlier, we're fighting our corner. We recognize the importance of this industry. And of course, with anything, there's always a lot of opposition and competitors trying to discredit us or trying to take away our market share or trying to say that there are other products that are better suited. But Sava's focus is to proclaim and to advocate the benefit of PVC, to look after the market, to grow the market, to correct any misconceptions that are out there, and really to tell the story of PVC and what we as an industry are doing to clean it up, to make sure that our members are responsible and sustainable. Then there's a lot of learnings happening, a lot of research happening in South Africa and around the world, which we share and which we are participants in. As I mentioned earlier, sustainability is a major focus for us and growing every year, making sure that our industry is responsible, that there is extended producer responsibility, that we put mechanisms in place for the collection and the recycling of PVC, advocacy, and then, as I mentioned earlier, telling the good news, the story of who and what SAVA is and what we're doing. There's just a quick slide in terms of what our winning aspiration is, what we're trying to accomplish as an industry by the year 2032. Our service priorities, that we want to influence customers to that they fall so in love with the product that any concerns that they might have are waylaid, and that we influence them to have assurance when they buy the product that it's good quality, fit for purpose product, and that it is value for money for our members. Just a quick slide as to why membership to an industry is important in terms of professionalism, the networking that I mentioned earlier on, the training, and just being part of a bigger community who all face the same challenges, and that we are there for each other, and that we share learnings, and we're there to support each other. There's a big conference which I'll talk to you about later on this year, as well as webinars on platforms like these. So there at the bottom, it just allows you to have a say and an influence on issues that directly impact your business. This is who our current MANCO members are. As you can see, they all represent various elements of the value chain and various parts of the industry. And my screen wants to move on. Okay, then we also have important partnerships, such as with the Green Building Council, which is the next slide, and Proudly South Africa, where again, we just try and promote and advocate PVC products that are locally made, responsibly made, exported around the world, and again, just give our local members a bigger platform to promote their products. Very relevant to today's discussion is that we are in regular contact with our friends and colleagues at the Green Building Council to make sure that PVC products that are used in building and construction are safe, fit for purpose, that there's end of cradle to grave and end of life solutions, and increasingly, especially with the carbon discussion, carbon agenda, PVC is once again proving to be an excellent product, and that's part of our job, is to influence and educate this very important market segment. Okay, and there's just, if you want a little bit more information, follow SAVA, find out who we are, and stay updated with our developments. Please do follow us or visit our follow us on social media, or visit our website.
At the moment with a busy building there.
Okay, someone is on. I'm just going to stop there.
I'm in Cape Town after this. I'm going to
work. I'm just going to mute someone there. There we go. Okay. So Gerhard, while you get your screen and your presentation on standby, I'm just going to do a quick introduction to Gerhard. Gerhard Hoffman was born in Johannesburg. He's a South African boykie, born in Joburg in 1965, and he went to German school there. During the troublesome apartheid years, Gerhard's parents decided to go back to Austria in 1997. He says he fondly remembers growing up in nature and spending time in the Kruger National Park, the open bushveld, and the Vaal Dam, where he had much time fishing and scouting with his friends. This is also where his passion for nature began. Today, he still enjoys hiking, gardening, and traveling to rural areas, including various journeys to South Africa and Namibia, and which he says are some of his favorite pastime and free time activities. He's married and enjoys being a grandfather for 4 years. Gerhard, I would not think that you're a grandfather. He says his strength is a creativity and finding solutions. He describes himself as an out-of-the-box thinker. And during the next couple of minutes, he's going to give you the benefit of his more than 31 years of experience, which he gained in designing PVC window systems, finding solutions for 350 customers, and working with 758 different window systems worldwide. He's going to deep delve into UPVC windows and their great functionality, as his passion is to design a suitable UPVC fenestration system for the Southern African market. His speech will contain a short introduction to who and what Exelliq is, formerly known as Greener Extrusion. He will give us a brief overview to the history of PVC windows, some market insights, technical aspects, and examples of how an ideal UPVC window should look like. At the end of the presentation, we did get some questions from you, and we will pose those questions to Gerhard. And if there's anything else that comes up, please do feel free to post it in the chat. And if time allows, we'll try and answer as many of those questions as possible. Okay, Gerhard, so without further ado, I know you've got a lot to get through. I'm going to hand over to you.
Yeah, so Bona, goeiemorgen, good morning also from my side. Thank you, Monique, for your kind words and opportunity to be part of the SAVA family. So the good thing about COVID crisis that it's brought us some new tools like communication platforms like Teams and Zoom. The bad thing is that no biltong this time for me. So let's get started. So the screen, everything is clear?
Everything is very clear. We can nice.
Perfect.
Well. Thank you, Gerhard.
Okay, so Exelliq, the owner is today Nimbus. We used to be owned by Greiner. This has changed 1 year ago. So they are, as you can see, Nimbus is a Dutch German holding company. And under these companies, there's various companies, I think over 50 companies. And one of these companies, or the 3 of them, basically what are sisters is Simplast. So Simplast offers different solutions for various types of applications in the flat die extrusion field, single or multi-layer flat dies, extrusion blocks, and auxiliary equipment. Then our sister Bartenfeld Cincinnati develops and produces high-performance extruders and downstream equipment for highly efficient pipe extrusion lines. And we as Exelliq, yes, since 1977, the world leading supplier of extrusion lines for toolings, machinery, services, and turnkey plants for profile extrusion. Yeah, so that's Exelliq Holding. And you can see there's a revenue of 76 million euros. We have around 660 worldwide employees and 5 testing centers worldwide. So there's always 12 extrusion lines available for trial tests for our customers. And also to mention that our process engineers speak 12 languages altogether. And yes, so we are quite a bundle of different chaps here. So our worldwide customers are basically in exterior profiles, so everything in plastics extrusion exterior, interior. So that means in building construction field, in the technical field, and of course in the window and door profile sector. This is also our most or the biggest segment here at Exelliq. So we are one-stop shop. So from planning to commission, from raw material selection until, yes, handover of the tooling, machinery, setup of fabrication for the windows, networking, knowing partners that can help, and so on. So we're quite aware of that, and we have installed a lot of extrusion turnkey plants worldwide already in the past. So that's one example. It's a factory we planned in Algeria. So there was at left top, you can see there's just sand more or less and some groundworks. Then they got a layout from us. So how to set up the equipment, where to put all the energy and so on. And there's a nice view now of this fabrication today. So the world, they're the greatest, biggest in Algeria, in their country. So when it comes to extrusion, the main part of extrusion, of course, is the extruder itself. Then we need a calibration table. On the calibration table, there are extrusion tools. So we need a die to put on front of the extruder. That's the nozzle where the PVC is pressed through. And then we have a calibration, a dry calibration zone and a wet calibration zone on this calibration table. And then is a haul off. So it has caterpillars on the top and at the bottom. It pulls out the profile. So there's a squeezing through the die and a pulling. So it's a double process. And in this machine also there's a cutter or a guillotine to select and to cut the profiles. And at the end there's a tipping table that normally cuts the profiles to 6 meters in length. So that's in front the extruder from our sister Bartenfeld Cincinnati's. But we also handle other extruders. So if a client wants to have a different Weber or some other product, of course, we are free to also put this in the line or in this turnkey project. Also, of course, our main competence is in machining and technology involving all the extrusion tooling. So very precise manufacturing. We have here in Austria for that, as well as all the machines. So one parts of the machines are built here in Austria, the others are built in the Czech Republic. And the target is to move all of this machinery into Czech Republic because of lower loans there. And yeah, we've established a company there as well since a couple of years. And so that the quality and everything is perfect to assemble that lines there. Makes it a little bit cheaper. Yes, and this is some pictures of worldwide extrusion plants we've set up. So it shows various countries, various setup situations. And here you see also the fenestration assembly, that all the fabrication of windows. So we don't do these machines ourselves. We have preferred partners. With them, we work together. They know us, we know them. So we can also guarantee all the functionality and all the issues of networking with the machines and so on. But I can talk a lot about our machines. Let's see what the customer tells and says about how he sees and how he produces window profiles. This is just a short 3-minute video from Budvar. That's a company we installed a turnkey project, and we also designed their system.
How is a PVC window profile produced? Did you know that the main element of every window is the profile? This is the most important part of the window, which affects all its parameters. Interestingly, only few window manufacturers in the world produce profiles for their windows. And, in fact, they produce windows from the beginning to the end. Budvar is a Polish manufacturer successfully producing windows for over 30 years, and it has had impact on the quality of the production process at every stage. The window profiles of Budvar are produced based on the highest quality components and using technologically advanced production lines. It is worth finding out more about the production of the PVC window profile. Component quality testing. Before we start producing the profile, we precisely check the quality of the components of PVC mixture from which the profile is made. Materials such as PVC or chalk have a great impact on the quality of the final product, which is why evaluating their quality is in the first place a crucial element of the profile production. We are eco-friendly. In order to be environmentally friendly, we implemented the zero waste philosophy in our factory. Each profile that cannot be sold is reused. The window profiles evaluated as of poor quality in the quality control are transported to the mill, where they are milled into smaller pieces. Those smaller elements are processed into regranulate, which are recycled raw material and can be reused in the production process instead of granules. We don't waste water. In order to cool the window profiles, we use chilled water from closed circulation. Fully automated production line. First, the blend transported to the extruder has to move through the extrusion head and then through the calibrators, forming the finished product in order to meet all requirements. The profile that comes out of the head can reach up to 195 Celsius degrees, so it needs to be cooled. The final window profile is cut into sections and packed into a container located in the storage area. However, only marked loading is transported to the warehouse. What is the profile made in titanium technology? This is a full-featured PVC profile with an admixture of titanium. Titanium technology combines the highest quality PVC with an admixture of titanium oxide at the stage of plastic forming. Titanium dioxide is an inorganic chemical compound consisting of a titanium molecule and 2 oxygen molecules. Due to its properties, this substance is widely used in industry as a natural dye, which is often called titanium white. It is also used as a mineral UV filter because it creates a resistant sun barrier. Multi-stage quality control. The strict control of all components from a carefully prepared recipe is not the end of the production process. Even during the production, the profile is subjected to multi-stage quality control. During the testing, the profile is monitored for geometry, functionality, or color. Boudoir windows with a titanium profile. The prepared profiles are transported to an automatic high storage warehouse. Then they are used to production our extremely durable windows, which we transport to our customers around the world.
So, it was a short film. So let's have a look at the success story of PVC windows and doors. So it all began in the 1960s. So Germany and Austria quarreling who was the first. So let's say it was 1959 and 1960. There the PVC was born, the PVC window. In the 70s, Canada and the United States picked up also this idea because they saw that they could make a lot of money with the upgrowing needs of windows in the industry. And then very soon China followed, of course, yes. Then United Kingdom came along, Denmark, France, Switzerland, some European countries came along. Then in the 90s, Ukraine, so the East, opened up, Russia, Vietnam, and some project in Egypt. Turkey was booming at that time very much. So this was a booming time. Then in the year 2000, especially India started to pick up this idea. In Iran at that time, it was before sanctions were there, we had a lot of projects. I think we sold over 6 window factories there. The big project in Algeria came along. Chile started to have this product coming in their market, as well as Mexico and Brazil. Okay, so it jumped, yes. So the future potentials for PVC windows, how we see it, surely Ukraine after the war, hopefully. Then Mongolia is picking up, all the Stan countries, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. There's quite a boom happening. Saudi Arabia, Egypt as well. We have some movement in South America as well, Central America a little bit. We're trying in Australia very hard. Yeah, so the sanctions of having better windows is coming along. So they have made new regulations there. Southeast Asia, of course, is booming because even like Jakarta, the whole city is moved. So there's a big need of windows there, and hopefully also South Africa. So my target is, before I go to pension, to have one window system in South Africa. So what are the drivers? Increased spending of housing infrastructure, basically. The profile life rating, so the demand of PVC is growing significantly. The rising replacement of old windows, and growing building activities, especially in Asia Pacific region. The challenges, of course, is strict regulations. So Australia has put quite a mark on that. India has already done this years back already. Then, of course, energy costs. So energy cost is rising everywhere. As soon as energy costs rise, we can see that it will be the favor of PVC windows because they're more eco-friendly and insulate better. And that saves, end of the day, CO2 and your bill, your cost on energy, cooling and heating. The hotspots at the moment, as we have them now, is this year is, of course, Europe. Europe is booming, especially Germany and France. So everybody after COVID is now improving their home. Then ongoing projects in India, and also new regulations coming up in Canada. So they have the highest restrictions until now. So they changed that. And so this is also a favor to PVC windows. So we see a big boom coming along there, as well as United States. So let's focus on Europe. Going back to history, the tilt and turn window in the 60s was a single glass, one chambered system. So very simple. It was a simple product with a quite not so good U value. That UV at the bottom is 5.8. The bigger the number, the worse it is. The smaller the number, the better. And you can see in late 70s, there was the first oil crisis. So energy went up. Then insulation glass was introduced in the market as a beginning of 1980. Also, the chambers of the profile have increased to have better insulation. In the 90s, the boom was for having everything round. So soft line was the topic. 2000, the introduction of a third gasket in the system to get even a better value. And then it went up to 2020 with even more chambers to have a even better insulation. So my personal prediction, how it will carry on, I think that until 2025, it would be standard to have 4 glass panes to have the best insulation results. There will still be a steel reinforcing, that's the red thing you see, and a foam inserted in the profile. So it's together with the steel, it's inserted in the profile. So the steel is for strength, the PVC is for insulation, and the foam is also additional insulation property. Until 2030, I think there will be no more steel because steel is a conductor, it transports energy very fast. So to get rid of this, there's a new material on the market that's called Ultradur from BASF. So we're already having our first customers doing that. You see, for instance, Kermeling also does this. This is the green element inside the profile. It's co-extruded in one shot. And you can also recycle it. That's why it has a green color. So the color sorter can figure out what's PVC and what is Ultradur. Ultradur is a PPT, by the way. Then my prediction for 2035 is that there will be no more inner chambers. It will be all one foam block and some steel claddings on the outside, very thin steel layers of 0.2, 0.3 millimeters that will have the same strength as the systems of today. And somewhere in the year 2040, 2050, vacuum glass will be state of the art. So a new technology will go there, and this will also dramatically influence the shape of the PVC window profile. But of course, this is also just looking at Europe, what the tendency is there. On the right side, you see some hybrid windows. For instance, Internorm company, they have a PVC aluminum hybrid. So the clip-on aluminiums on the outside and the rest is PVC. Then some they have inside timber wood, and in the middle part PVC, and the outside also aluminum cladding. Or you have PVC and the glass fiber. This is this ultra-dur PBT material from Kömmerling. Yes, in Europe, 129 million windows were sold 2022. And if you look at UPVC window share, it's 52% all over Europe. So it's a majority. So that's the most used material. Why that's so? To that point we will come. Some countries like France, Germany, Austria, or Great Britain, they have a much higher volume on PVC windows, but the average of Europe is 52%. And the market is still growing, not that quick, so 2-3%, but still it's growing. Aluminium window, for instance, the market is slowly falling. We can see, especially without thermal insulation. These systems totally disappeared, so because of European regulations. The hybrid window system it's also a market segment that's rising, so it's about 9% at the moment. So all these mixed materials, aluminium, PVC wood elements. And of course, the northern part of Europe, Sweden, Finland, Norway, they're traditionally wise, focusing on windows, that's tradition and everything. But also there, the plain wooden window is disappearing. The hybrid aluminium and wood is getting shares. But still, this market is quite good with 21%. Yeah, why is the PVC window so famous in Europe? Yeah, it has a lot of reasons. One thing is, of course, nobody wants to paint the wooden windows in the vacation. So PVC allows low maintenance. They also want a green product. So PVC windows are 100% recycled in Europe. They have a low impact on the environment. They have a distinguished long life. So 40, 50 years is not a problem. They have welded joints. That makes it unique against aluminum windows, because aluminum windows are screwed and then some silicone is put in there, and silicone gets loosed often sometime, and then the water and the wind pressure brings the water into your room. And regarding insulation ratio, it has the best price performance. So as mentioned, lifetime of 40 to 50 years. After lifetime, there's some machines that they throw the complete window into this machine. It's grinded and separated steel, aluminum, PVC, that's all separated. Then the material returns to the factories, and their new co-extrusion tools you see on the top. So the brown color is the recycled material, the white color is the virgin material. So this is state of the art already. So a lot of companies in Europe, I think there's only a few left that don't do it because of, yes, marketing reasons. But you can have 100% recycled window up until also some partial recycling parts in the profile. The strength and everything is same using recycled material, if you know where the source of the recycled material comes from. So if you get somewhere some material from China or from Far East, then you don't know what's inside. And sometimes it's also lead stabilized materials, and the European Union is banning all the lead outside the formulation of PVC windows. Also, you're not allowed to recycle it. That's the new law that's coming up. Yes, a little bit about technical things now. To understand all these issues of Windows is the R value that is normally used in the United States, and what I think also in South Africa. We only need to know the R value is the energy flow through an element, and the higher the R value, the more thermal resistant the object is. That can be a concrete wall, it can be a window, it can be any other element. All my figures in this presentation, of course, is based on the method like Europe is calculating, it's the U value in watt per square meter Kelvin. So an element of the watt that goes through 1 square meter per degree and temperature. And there's 3 elements. That's the glass. We call it UG, G for glass, the UF for frame. So it can be the sash and the frame. This also is for aluminum windows, also for wooden windows, of course, the same calculation. And the UV is the window. So the total figures of all elements calculated, and that gives the U value. And the buyers of windows, they carefully check what's the UV value of the window, because this guarantees how much energy they will save at the end. And of course, there's this Psi, there's a length-related heat transfer coefficient. That's the little part that's between the glass panes. So for the insulation, you have to put a little plastic part, or normally it's an aluminum part. It used to be aluminum part. In a lot of countries, still there is aluminum. And aluminum, again, is transferring the energy very fast. So nobody wants the aluminum inside there. That's why Swiss Space and a lot of companies have changed to thermal bridging there. Yeah, thermal conductivity. So thermal conductivity, you just imagine you have a hot or cold drink, and you have an aluminum tin or you have a plastic cup. Then you know where you burn or you cool your fingers first. That's why UPVC and timber windows have very good thermal conductivity. Then steel, and worst is aluminum. That's physics. There's nothing I can change on. It's not my figures. So using aluminum for aeroplanes is good. Using it for windows, well, I think there are better materials on the market. Of course, aluminum used to be cheap. That's the reason, yeah. But this is a different story. So using PVC frames compared to aluminum frames, you can save up to 60% of greenhouse gases. So if you want your environment, your house green, then you know which frame has to be picked. Of course, just to go back, it's not only the windows, of course, the troughs, the walling and the roof, everything has an influence on the total structure, of course. But a big thing is, of course, the windows and the doors. Since 2014, so it's still valid. They want to decrease it, but the industry is against it, of course, yeah. The European energy labeling of buildings says the window has to have minimum 1.3 watts per square meter Kelvin. That's a must. You cannot sell a window beyond this point. So having it better, so the smaller the figure, the better, because we're talking about U values. For the glass, for instance, it's 1.1. So the glass is a tick better than the frame. And if you get some funds from states, very often Germany has done this, Austria has done this, Spain did this already as well. So the state gives you, let's say, 5,000 euros if you refurbish your windows, and it's up to you which product you use. So you can take steel, wooden, aluminum, or timber window or PVC window. So, but then you have to have a value of 0.95 as minimum. If you look at all the stringent regulations in the last years, you can see Canada right on top. So they have the toughest regulation, then followed by Europe. Then we have England and New Zealand, and then the values go worse and worse and worse. So worst was, to my surprise, was Australia. So I had a speech last year. I was telling this, but they're working very hard on that. So Australia wants to get this value down to 1.5. Of course, the aluminum industry doesn't want that, because then they have to thermal insulate their product. So let's look at South Africa. So there's 6 climate zones, and starting from 2.4 as a good value, and 5.6 is not as good as value, not so good value. So 5.6, that's aluminum frame without thermal break. So theoretically, in the regions where 5.7 or what was it, 5.6 is allowed, yeah, you have to have like this aluminum frame. That's okay. As soon as you thermal break it, you see with this polyamide 25 millimeters, then of course you gain a lot of energy. It goes down to 2.3, so a much better product. But of course, the product is much more in price then. So that's why the aluminum industry doesn't want to change the figure. Timber windows, traditionally, depending on what type of wood, if you take a hardwood, 15 millimeters frame, you have around 2.3 watts per square meter Kelvin. So if you take the 2.3, that's around a 2-chambered system in PVC. I've seen a lot of, let's say, German systems of 4 or 5 chambers in South Africa. So, okay, that's, let's say it's not needed at the moment, yeah. So the regulation would say if you have a 2.2 windows or 2-chambered system, it's much better than the regulation of 2.4. So it's 0.2 better. So I always talk about chambers. So what is a chamber of a profile? You just put a pencil through the element, and then that's the outside is the first chamber, then the second chamber, and the third chamber. So that's a 3-chamber system. And then this already reaches a value of 2 watts per square meter Kelvin. So if you compare the top brands, so if let's say you want funding of the state, you have to take this type of window. So it has to have, at least in Europe, 0.95. So this window, the U value is 0.8. The glass has 1. Sorry, this glass has 0.6. It's a triple glass, and UF value is 1. You see there's a lot of chambers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chamber system in PVC. And the price, yeah, you see a big difference on price. And you can see the aluminum window to reach this value of 0.8 has to put a lot of foam, insulation barriers, thermal bridges into their product. That makes it very expensive. So that's why the most windows sold. So if you get 5,000 euros from the state, you will buy PVC windows because you get more or less 2 for the price of 1. And saving with this type of window to the olden European PVC windows in the 80s, there's a lot of saving of around 4 tons of CO2 per year. Of course, we have a huge possibility of designing according to the market needs. The market needs is not always Europe, and that's the best. No, it is not. There is a Europe, of course, with its norm, to have at least a 70 millimeter system. That means the frame width from here to here has to have 70 millimeters, and it should have at least 4 to 6 chambers. So normally it has 5 to 6 chambers. And then the passive house, or if you get fundings, you have to take at least a 90 millimeter window system to get the 0.8 value. Of course, this is also high in price, no doubt about that. The price really starts to get interesting is a 50 millimeter system. It does not comply to European standards, of course, but it complies to a lot of other countries' regulations. So when we talk about a standard window in Europe, it's a 1.23 by 1.48 meter window. That's a norm. And this should have 1.3. So there's a glass of 1.1. Here, the U value of the frame is 1.27. And yeah, it has 5 to 6 chambers. Normally, they have a middle gasket. In Germany, you find the system without the middle gasket. Yes, this is also a tradition. So in Austria, the south of Germany, you find all the central gasket systems. And the more you go to the north, yeah, there's just a butt system. There's 2 gaskets. So middle gasket brings you 0.1 on energy rating better. So it's just a little bit. So if we again look to South Africa with at the moment regulation of 2.4 to 5.6 in 6 climate zones, let's take out a very good value of 3. So let's say it's not 2.4 as I showed before, it's a 3. Then this would be the window that makes these expectations. So you have an 18 millimeter insulation glass, you have a 40 millimeter in width frame with 2 chambers. That's it. It does the job. And even with an aluminum spacer. So it's less like an economical product. If you say, oh, this economical product, it's not, we cannot in South Africa, but it's because we are all focusing on price. Yes, let's look at example, the market in India. There's one customer, Fenesta, he was one of the first we worked with. India has a very similar climate conditions and also U values. The state is recommending 2.8 to 5.7. Compared to South Africa, it's, you could say, more or less similar, very same. In India, in the year 2003, there was only 2% market share of PVC windows. So they were hardly not there. The same in South Africa. There is PVC windows, but they're hardly there. Then, of course, the government has seen that in future, the population is growing. That if they have these bad insulated windows in their flats, the state has to have a lot of power plants in future, and this will cost a huge amount of money. So that changed the regulations. And today, 2022, the market share of PVC window has risen up to 70%. So just naming one customer that already sold in this period 15 million window units. Of course, the market of India is very huge. There's a lot of population, of course, compared to South Africa. But still, Austria has only 9 million inhabitants, and we have, I think, 4 PVC window companies here and also exporting. The average lifespan of different plastics is also very interesting. You see packaging, yes, you drink even less, yeah, you have your PET bottle, you drink once your water and then you throw it away. If it comes to window, it's a different story. So the lifetime is 40, 50 years there. And PVC windows can be recycled 10 times at least. So if, let's say, after one generation that you take out the window because it's broken or worn out, you get a new one, they recycle it, and it's the second generation and so on. So in total, we talk about 400 years effective lifetime. So that, of course, makes it great compared to wooden windows or aluminum windows. But it's not only the frame, of course, it's also the type of glass you insert in the window. So using a single glass, if you cool or heat your room, your house, you need around 62 liters per square meter. And if you use double glazed low E-coated glass, for instance, you go down to 12. And in future, with the vacuum glass, it's only 3 liters. So there's big improvements on glass. Today, it's state of the art to have triple glazing in Germany, Austria. So a lot of companies, they make advertisements say you get double glazing for you get a triple glazing for the price of a double glazing. So they have a higher stock on same glasses, and that's why they can give a better price to the clients. When it comes to noise, the RV value, so that's different. The higher the value, the better the insulation. You see very poor insulation with a single glass, and if it comes to double glass or triple glazing, the values is much better. And if you go to vacuum glass, it will be somewhere around 65 decibels, a reduction. So already with a double glazed gas-filled insulation pane, you can hardly hear the noise of the street outside. That's a big seller also in India, because India, they're not so focused on energy, they're more focused on noise, because everywhere in all the cities, it's always noise. So there's a low impact of on the environment, of course, with PVC. So it has the lowest values of all the other materials. And also the carbon footprint in totally looks quite good compared to aluminium. So you have 741 tons compared to 1,935 tons. And the wooden window with a little or more or less the same value, a little bit worse. So we have over 31 years of experience on designing windows. So we've done over 765 windows worldwide. We have won a lot of prizes as well for having the best window in the market. And hopefully your window system is the next to get this prize. Some examples. It's a patio window we did with Roto hardware for South America. Then there's this eco sliding system. So it's a sliding system with gaskets, not with brushes. And some success stories, for instance, India is producing around 5,000 tons of PVC profiles per year. Poland with 9,000 tons. Cotizo in Spain with 18,000 tons. Oxo, that's a Jering company, 25,000 tons. Then there's a lot of course, Turkish companies. One of them is Veratech with 35,000 tons. Akfa in Uzbekistan with 62,000 tons. There's 2 factories in this country. The second one is a little bit smaller. And yeah, just looking at Poland, there's one company called Rutex that produce 7,000 windows per day. And they have the logistics to transport the profiles, the windows, ready-made windows in the total European countries around. But there's a lot of other customers that are not mentioned, like Rehau, Aluplast, Veka. I think Rehau is also in South Africa. Veka, I think, is in South Africa as well. So there's big players on the market that all get our tooling and machines. So the correct choice of PVC profile is important. I think it's not correct to take European window and place it down to South Africa. This will not meet the expectations. So you have to rethink how you do it. There's a lot of influences, of course, you have to take care when designing. So the market influence, what will be the marketing, what's the target, what's the consumer requirements, expect of price, of course. Then material, so what type of material you will use with all the additives that it suits the UV stability and so on. Then, of course, the window and door types used. Should it be a sliding system or tilt and turn system or the other systems? The profile geometry, of course, that you can easily extrude it. That's extrusion friendly, as we call it, so that you don't have headache with starting and stopping the product. The hardware, of course, should fit inside there. The assembly should be without headache. And all the climate influences, of course, what glazing will be used, and so on. And of course, respecting all the standards, wind loads. So we also do wind load calculations. Everything to put in the steel as little as possible, or what the standards allow, not to make a tank, European tank, and put it down there. And yeah, this I think doesn't make sense. So are PVC windows competitive? I've checked the internet a little bit. So I found there's a lot of data, of course. I just took some out. Yes, so India, Brazil, and Chile, it's around 1,100 Rand. South Africa, I found figures of aluminum window 2,650, but I'm sure there's even cheaper and more expensive there. Europe, yeah, you're far off with 7,500 for window, PVC window, for aluminum window, sorry. If you build a 35 millimeter PVC window, I've calculated, and this was also approved in India, around 700 Rand will cost to produce a 35 millimeter economical system. So it should be sellable. So best price insulation ratio is the benefit. Best resistant to salt atmosphere, Cape Town, Durban, yeah, Port Elizabeth. Insect proof, so the termites will not eat it. I cannot eat it. I don't want it. Yeah. Low maintenance. Just if it's dirty, you just clean it with a hose. That's it. Noise reduction, of course, and maintenance free. So it's a great alternative to aluminum windows. This is one of the economical systems we've done for India. So it's a 33 millimeter system. So it's a little tiny profile. Maybe we can show on the camera. So it's really a really neat little thing compared to the German one. Yeah, so the German one, you can see it's both a frame and it does the same job, but of course the clientele and the customer is different. So the ideal window for South Africa, how I would see it or like it, is to have a U value of 1.5, so better than the regulation is today. So to make it according to the regulation of South Africa tomorrow, let's say targeting 1.5, that should be similar like in Australia. Then, of course, the outside opening sash. You could also make a tilt and turn, of course. And then a fly screen that's baboon or monkey proof, yeah, so that monkeys cannot rip it out. Working to the inside, and of course, if needed, also burglar bar fixation possibility should be there. And all together should also look then aesthetic, not like a prison. So what do we do besides windows and doors? A lot of other profiles. So for wallings, for instance, with the concrete filling, seal walls, pool covers. So to a safety feature that the little children don't fall in there and drown, and also to get the dust not in the pool, or to save the coolness or the heat of the water. Fencing, rain gutters, and internal products like deckings, handrails, ceiling panels, cable ducts, and so on. So a lot of products by various materials, polyethylene, polypropylene, ABS, and so on. So it's not only PVC, polyacryl, and so on. So if you think you're too small to make a difference, well, you have to spend the night with a mosquito. So I think you can make a difference, and I hope you will make a difference to get South Africa in the position where it should be in the world of windows of today. So thank you very much. If you have questions, you can raise them now. There's some questions that have been raised already. I've prepared some presentation to that as well. Monique, should I go first through the open things I got yesterday?
Sorry, let me just mute myself. Thank you so much, Gerhard. That was absolutely fantastic. I was wondering, maybe we should just stop share screen, and then we can have everyone on. Just see how we do this. And then, yeah, I've got some questions printed out here, which we can, if time allows, we can see how many of those we can through. One or two questions also came through on the chat.
Maybe I can go through the first questions I've prepared, then we can.
Sure. Okay. Have you got them there with you, or do you want me to read them?
Yeah, no, I've got them here.
Okay.
There was one question if PVC can also be bonded with a tape. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was, you want to name the person as well or not?
Though I've got here, I'm trying to go through the questions very quickly. Can't see who asked that question, bonded for the tape. It's not on one of the ones that I've got here, but okay, did you just want to speak to that?
Yeah, okay, sure. So yes, you can also bond. This is coming more and more as well to get the steel out of the product, or so to have it steel free. So you use the statics of the glass. It also improves the security, of course. And if you have a door, for instance, it will also not sag if you put a tape there. So yes, tapes are, let's say in the United States and Canada, they have used the tape since 20 years already. In Europe, it was not allowed according to regulations, but now it's allowed because the industry has just done it. Now the norms have been set to that. So there's a lot of brand names as well as supplying these type of tapes for the industry.
Okay. My apologies. That question was posed by Shan Maharaja. He's production manager at Anchor Tapes. And he wanted to know, does PVC window, doors, and profiles use any double-sided tapes, which is what you just answered. Then we've got some questions from Christian Willemse of Silverton 9, who wanted to know about just general questions about colors available, the installation procedures, manufacturing and or only distribution, glass installation on site or with products.
Yes. So
there's
for
a couple
coloring,
of questions there.
yes. So course, UPVC window not only in color, in white color, of course. So you can normally you can paint them. There's special paints available that stick to the surface of the PVC without. You can bend even the profiles then thermally after that, and it will not blather off. So very good paints on that. And then normally it's foiled. So you have products like that are more or less foiled that look then like timber window on the outside. You can also put them a real timber on it. So there's a very thin wooden timber foil on there. You can coax through it to make a color, for instance, just to have the outside in color. So you save color pigments because normal color pigments are very expensive. You can also put some embossing in the die to keep some structure, so that's not only flat. You can coax through it by mixing different master batches, then you get like a marble effect. You can plywood foil them. You can also put aluminum clip. Is the example? Yeah. So this is, for instance, aluminum clip, and it's welded. So what they have is a machine that first, before it's welded, this aluminum is milled away, and then it sticks out left and right 6 millimeters, and then it's fusion welded. So you have a fusion welded corner. This is, of course, 100% then a nice corner itself. Also, you can have some acrylic coating on the profile with co-extrusion. So, and of course, the lamination is, yeah, whatever color you want, all possible, yeah. At the moment, you find this type of windows, yeah, so rather dark colored windows on the market here in Europe. So yes, it's possible to have colored profiles. Okay, this was another question. That was regarding the PVC formulation itself. As the UV radiation in different countries is different, also the formulation is different. Here for instance, for India has other recipe as, for instance, in Germany. Normally, I think I'll put this on the next one. Yes. Normally, it used to be lead stabilized, but this was banned in the European Union. What I know is China is still working on a lead stabilized PVC profiles because it's the easiest to extrude. So this doesn't make any headache, but of course it's toxic. So the European banned this long years before. Then what's widely used in Europe is the calcium zinc based components. And there's also tin stabilizers that are widely used in the US, Australia, and New Zealand. And there's mixed metals, but also this is not favored anymore, so because of toxic concerns. And there's organic heat stabilizers. So these types are being heavily researched at the moment. So at the moment in Europe, it's calcium zinc based, and I think widely in the world, except Australia and United States, it's calcium zinc. It's only China lead stabilized, the rest more or less calcium zinc based. In South Africa, what I know from the trip I made 2017, I spoke with some guys of Chemson there, and they also told me they have a calcium zinc based recipe available. Yes.
And then we had a question. Yeah, there was a question about the limitations on the percentage of recycled material that's allowed to be incorporated in new PVC windows. If you can just talk to that. Yeah. So normally to use your own scrap, it's allowed according certification. If you don't know where the scrap comes from, it's not allowed. So you should know where the scrap comes from, not to implement lead stabilized materials into your product. That's the regulations in Europe. The brown color is recycled material. It could also be a second grade recipe. So for instance, if there's no scrap available in the country, you can use the white color with high titanium dioxide pigmented stabilized outside surface to have a very long UV stability to get the product in South Africa for 50, 60 years. But it's quite cost effective. So in the inside, you have a second grade material with more chalk.
for instance, without the titan dioxide, and then you can make a much cheaper product, but with the same stability. So we are not cheating on the formulation on stability. To have a virgin material or recycled frame material, there's no difference. Even, for instance, the Koenig, they use and market 100% recycled material. You can see on a picture. So that's their marketing. They use 100% recycled material. You have they put it in gray color. So they put some color pigments there, and they sell it as 100% recycled.
Okay. Gerhard, before you step off and go on to the next one, there was a question also from Pierre, whether or not in South Africa there are any PVC recyclers who accept PVC windows for recycling. And off camera, I did just quickly inquire. Well, from Sava, we've got about a network of 40 plus PVC recyclers. I did reach out to a couple of them, and they have confirmed that they are able to recycle and have recycled PVC windows in the past. They obviously need photographs to see if there are any rubbers or seals, but in essence, feedback from the recyclers are, yes, please, they are able to recycle the PVC windows in South Africa.
That sounds great, yeah.
Right.
Good. Yes, then there was a question how to install the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just quickly see. I'm trying to find his installation procedures, which was one of the questions. If you can just explain a little bit more about the installation procedure and the glass installation on site or with product. So.
Yes, so installation of the glass on site or on the product, you have both. In Turkey, for instance, you have without the glass because they will damage the glass 10 times when they erect the building. In Europe, so in Germany, you get it all with glass. So the builders know, they treat them with care and nothing happens there. In England also, they delivered without the glass. I took now a video from some company in England because it looks familiar to the South African style of installation. In Germany, normally you have the hole where you take a PU foam and you just foam out the clearance. In Great Britain, normally it's done with silicone, and this I will show you. I'll just move on because they first demantle it just to save some times. They first demantle it, and now they fix it again.
Carefully place the new frame into the opening, making sure it's central.
But just the music.
Use packers all around the frame, checking it's level, square, and plumb, and the 10mm expansion gap is maintained.
Packers in the right
Double
angle.
check the frame is plumb and level before drilling fixing holes in the sides of the frame. Fixings should be 150mm from the top and bottom corners, and at approximately 600mm centers in between. Pre-drill the frames at the required spacing before fixing them in place with suitable fixings, taking care not to over-tighten them. Ensure the packers are used adjacent to each fixing. It's important that these packers cover the full width of the frame to prevent distortion when tightening the fixings. Additional fixings will be required to the top and bottom of the frames that are over 600mm in width. Apply silicone to the pre-drilled holes that are through the bottom of the frame before inserting the screw. This prevents water entering the frame. Once you've inserted the fixing screw, seal with more silicone to create the watertight seal. Remove the glazing beads, ensuring you do not mix them up, as they need to go back in the same position. Any dirt or dust needs to be cleaned from the frame before the installation of the glass can begin. Insert the bridging packers around the opening. Failure to use these will mean water will not drain out of the frame, which could lead to unit failure. This is a fixed pane of glass, but opening casements will need to be toe and heeled. See our separate video for further details. Now install the glass against the bridging packers. You'll notice that there is a gap between the edge of the glass and the bridging packers. You will need to push glazing packers in these gaps, ensuring that the unit remains square and parallel in the aperture until it is firmly held in position. Once you are happy with the position of the unit and the packers, use silicone to secure the packers in place and prevent them moving. You can now refit the beads, ensuring they go back in the right place. Always start with the shorter beads first. Place the back of the bead into the groove. Then use a rubber mallet to tap it into place,
Marine
tapping on the
bead.
edge where the bead meets the frame. Once the glass is fitted, clean the glass and the frames to remove any dust before sealing the frame to the internal wall, or cut and fit any internal trims.
Ventilation
That
channel.
completes all the internal work. For a neat finish, break off any excess length of the packers with the chisel before removing all protective tape from the outside of the frame. Ensure all dust is removed from the external surfaces and that the frame is clean. Run masking tape along the edge of the frame to help create a neater finish before running a smooth bead of sealant between the frame and the brickwork. Always seal below the external sill. Fit external trickle vents if they are required. Check the operation of the window and make any adjustments needed before cleaning down
That's
the
it,
working
more or
area.
less. Good.
And make fit external trickle vents if they are required.
And I have another one of how to fabricate the window itself. It's a tilt and turn. It's a very old film. It shows it manually, and I also have a film of fully automated. So, but this film takes quite, I think, 7 or 10 minutes. So, especially if you still have time for that. So you cut to 45-degree angle, mill the water slots, insert the steel. Screw the steel, the screws, self-tapping screws, the profile. And the welding machine. There's a heat plate coming in, Teflon, that heats up the PVC. The heat plate goes out and then it's squashed together. And it's cooled off. After cooling off, the corner is cleaned. There's also machines that don't require to have this corner cleaning anymore. These machines are quite expensive, of course. Yeah. Drilling the handles, gearbox. Installation of hardware. Screwing the hardware. The Euro groove. Inserting the gaskets. You can also co-extrude the gaskets, it's also a possibility. And then marrying frame with the sash. Then you cut the glass bead. So glass, use the packers again. Rip in glass bead, hammer it in. That's it. Okay, this I don't know if we should look at because it's quite long.
Gerhard, we've got a specific question relating to glazing, beading. UV stable print on UPVC. specifically what, where, and how, and what is the latest method and material, and what longevity can be expected?
So printing the PVC itself. I know only printing machines with 5 or 6 colors that are used for the indoor panels. I'm not aware of any window profiles that are printed. So because I think this is a problem of UV stability. The color pigments for the printing, I'm not aware of any PVC windows worldwide that are printed. They all have laminated, they have clip-ons, they are painted, but they're not printed.
Okay, I think the question specifically relates to glazing beading innovation for windows.
To the inside.
I
So
gather
to have
it's
like a color strip or something like that, that's possible, sure. If you have the interior, yes, you could do that as well. The lifetime depends always on the paint you use, or the material you use. There's cheap paints and very expensive ones. So it's hard to say this is that lifetime. And also depends on the UV. If the window is somewhere in the south, so the sun can really attack to the inside or not. Yeah, it's always in the shade. This will also have an impact on coloring. When it comes to coloring, it's normally laminated. So the traditional way of making the color on the window is lamination. That's the easiest way. It's well known. The PVC foil on it has also very long lifetime. I think they guarantee 20 years or 10 years, depends, I think, where it goes. But I know windows that are installed for over 40 years now, and you don't see any coloring, discoloring or whatever. Sorry, I cannot tell more about the printing things. I only know them from sheets, that it's for the roof sheets. So not on the roof, on top, the inner decking, so more or less.
Okay. Okay, I think that if anyone has any more technical questions, is it all right if can they email you directly?
Yeah, sure. You
I'll
can
put
do
your
that
email
as well,
in
yeah.
the chat. So if they've got any questions or want to reach out to you with more technical or specific questions, that they can just maybe email you. So
Sure.
that would be okay.
My pleasure, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the easiest.
Yeah. Let's just see if there are any other questions. I'm just going to put this in the chat. Just to everyone. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the chat function here where I can put it on to everyone. There we go. There's Gerhard's email address. Let's see, we are a little bit over time, but let's see if there are any other questions, then we can maybe just open the floor. I'm going to put you on the spot, Gerhard.
Sure.
Okay. It doesn't seem like there are any more questions, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again for your time, for joining us today. We hope that you found this webinar interesting and that we answered most of your questions. Gerhard, and especially to you, a huge thank you for your time and sharing your expertise with us. We will have another repeat webinar like this in a couple of months' time, maybe 1 or 2 a year. Time is always an issue. There's a lot of people who said that they wanted to attend and who registered. And I think, just life happens, but we'll definitely have a repeat webinar like this. We'll also put this information on our website, as I said. So guys, thank you again, Gerhard, especially to you. Stay warm, stay safe, everyone. And please, if you've got any more questions relating to SAVA or any requests for specific webinars that you would like us to host so that we can address your questions and provide more information that you need, please do feel free to drop us a line. The email address is admin@savinyls.co.za, or my email address is monique@savinyls.co.za, but all of that is on the website. So once again from SAVA, thank you everyone. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.